What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the FPL Inklink video. My name is Mo, and today I'm going to be going through a club by club guide of the clubs that are featuring in the FPL game in the 2021-2022 season. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe to my channel. Be part of the family and help my channel grow. This is the best place to get all your latest FPL news and insight of the game, and I'm going to be here to make sure I can help you answer any questions that you have and help you become the best manager in the game itself and help you get to the rank that you want to achieve and be the best in your mini leagues and the game itself. So hit the like button if you like this video, and also hit the bell notifications icon to get the latest notifications of when I release my content. So as I said, I'm doing a club by club guide, and today the first club I'm going to start with, it's going to be Arsenal themselves. So Arsenal, in terms of FPL, I'm going to be going through players that we had from last season, how they did. If there are any new additions, we'll go through them at the moment. There may be changes, of course, but if you do have any questions, please let me know about Arsenal players, what you may or may not have. So I'm going to go through some key stats, key performances, players who I believe are going to be key in terms of choosing from Arsenal, and what I think they can do in terms of benefiting and boosting your team performance. So let's start from the goalkeepers first. So Renardson's never used by Arsenal. He only got 1 point last season, but we've got Leno. So Bernd Leno, he had a bit of a mixed season last season. I think he did pretty well at patches, but he had some really kind of like, what's the right word to say? He had some really innocent moments and some really fragile moments during the season. So he got sent off against Wolves. Along those lines itself, was dropped for a few games in Europa League as well. But he's Arsenal's number one. So let's go through a bit of underlying stats for him. So he got 131 points last season. 2.2% of the teams are owning him at present. So one stat I'm going to use in my club by club guides is points per game. So, for example, what I've done is the points people have the points received by these players last season divided by the number of games they played and what they are averaging last season. And based on that, how I think they can either build on that, or if they've done extremely well, how I can think they can remain consistent. So, in terms of Leno himself, he averaged 3.44 points per game. Now for me, for the price that you're paying, 5 mil, a regular goalkeeper for Arsenal, 3.44 points per game. After the season that they had last season, it only can get better, right? They became a lot better at the end of the season. I think David Luiz had a really good instrumental part. If they can get a few signings, someone like a Ben White from Brighton or a Basuma they're looking at as well, and some other players within the Europe kind of like clubs that they have kind of put bids in for, I think it can only get better. So he's hitting about 3.44. I think he can maybe reach the potential of maybe 4 points a game, 4.5 points, something like along which Martinez got last season. But for me, I think Leno, if he gets the right signings and he has the right defence in front of him and Arsenal get it right, I think he might be a good shout. Might be a good differential as well, because not many people are going to go for Leno, and we can also look at potentially his fixtures in the first 6 game weeks. All right, so this is something that I'm going to look. Rather than 6, actually, we'll go 10 games. So the first 10 games, for me, he only has 1 red and 1 dark cherry red in the first 10 games, which is a lot of greens and a few greys in there as well. So he start off away at Brentford, which I think will be a good game for them. Could be testing because Brentford's first game, they're at home in the Premier League. It might be an occasion for them to really raise their game. But if you look at it from like a generic footballing perspective, I think it should be a game Arsenal shouldn't have too many concerns with. So he might be actually a good choice to get a clean sheet there. Followed by Chelsea at home. They played really well last year at Boxing Day. That's where they kind of like revitalised their season. So I've got good hopes they might do well there. And then they got Man City away following that. But after that, they actually not had fixtures. They got Norwich at home, Burnley away, their main game of the season, which is Tottenham, and then Brighton, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, and Leicester. So a few challenging games there, but I generally believe there are a substantial amount of games there, at least 4 or 5 that I can see that are clean sheet worthy, and at least 3 games which are bonus point worthy. So he's someone to worth consider if you are going to bring him in as a goalkeeper from Arsenal. In terms of regular minutes, in terms of him generally, I think that's going to be a good shout for him. So now that we've discussed the fixtures itself, I'm not going to discuss every single player, but at least we've got the gist of the fixtures that we've got coming up and what we can expect to see from Arsenal players themselves. So next player I'm going to talk about is going to be Kieran Tierney. I think he's a fabulous player, to be fair. Very underappreciated, very underrated, and I think there's better things to come from him this season. He got a total of 96 points last season, which points per game he was averaging 3.76 per 90 minutes if he was to play a full game. So that's not that great, to be fair, as a defender, but based on how much he's played, and he only got 8 clean sheets, so it can only get better from here. So I think if you are going to choose like a 5 mil defender, maybe he'll be a good choice on the left hand. You've also got, in terms of minutes played, I think he'll play a lot more. Only 8.6% of managers have got him, and with the fixtures that we've discussed, I can expect a few clean sheets. And he's a crowd favourite. He's a fan's favourite. And I think Arteta will have to focus a bit more on players like himself, Kieran Tierney. You've got players like Maitland-Niles, Willock, Saka, these kind of players, Smith Rowe, who will get a bit more of a run. So Kieran Tierney for me can only improve on these 3.76 points per game. So that's why I've chosen him in one of the players to review and recommend for your squad selection. Moving forward, we've got Nicolas Pepe. Now, for me, I think out of all the Arsenal players I'm going to be talking about today and throughout the game that are listed this season so far of this video recording, I think he's the most promising for me. So for the price, I think it's a really good price at 7.5 mil. Only 4.4% of managers own him, 114 points last season. Now, this is the stat which will really surprise me. His points per game is 6.39. That is phenomenal. He really picked it up at the end of last season. He got 10 goals and 3 assists over the campaign. But, he only played 1,606 minutes and he got 114 points. There are players around like Maddison and stuff who played probably 700 minutes more but only got 20 points more. So, for a player who's probably from a similar price, he's on set pieces potentially as well. Nicolas Pepe might not be a bad shout, to be fair. So that's why I've selected him, and he's my star-studded recommendation from the Arsenal. So I'm going to have a star recommendation. So this is my star recommendation from Arsenal so far this season. We're also going to go on to Joe Willock. Now, Joe Willock kind of ended up on loan at Newcastle at the end of last season. I think he became the teenager to score, I think, in 5 consecutive games, beating Alan Shearer's record. 79 points, 8 goals scored last season. But if you look at his stats, he got 5.89 points per 90 minutes, basically, per game he was playing. He's only owned by less than 1% of the managers at the moment. But if he does get another loan spell, even if he stays at Arsenal, I'm not sure he'll get every single minute. But if he gets another loan spell for 6 mil, that's not a bad shout. If he does go back to Newcastle or another club and he's pretty much nailed on to get more minutes, I may actually consider bringing him into my first week official team itself. So that's why I've chosen Joe Willock, because I think he's probably one of the most promising youngsters, along with Saka, coming for Arsenal over the next couple of seasons. The next player I'm going to go through is club captain himself, Aubameyang. What can I say about Aubameyang? So last season I trusted him for a couple of games and it didn't really pay off, to be fair. Last season wasn't his best of seasons. So the seasons before, the 2 seasons, he got basically 20 goals plus and over 200 points for both seasons. But last season he only scored 131 points, which if you look at points per game, he got 5.06 points per game, which is still, considering it's not his best season, that's actually not that bad. But he's priced at 10 mil this season, so his price has dropped. Only selected by 3% of managers. But for me, I think this season he'll probably be back to his best. And he's been listed as a forward rather than a midfielder. So again, for the goals he scores and assists that will come along, we will be eager to see. But again, with the fixtures we have discussed, I think there's some games here where he can actually take a real pivotal role in how Arsenal start the season, or how he helps lead from the front. He's the captain at the end of the day. He's going to have to set the precedent. And there are fixtures in there where he can really get the season started, get the fans back on side. Fans are going to be back in the stadium, so they want to put on a good show for them and make sure that they allow them to see how the captain leads from the front. So Aubameyang, I'm not considering at the moment in terms of forward. I think it's a bit too much, but if you're looking to go differential and with the games that they have in the first 10, probably worth considering. The next person I've got who I'm going to review is going to be Lacazette. Now, Lacazette is owned by almost 7% of managers, which is a lot higher than I originally thought, because he's not nailed on to play every single minute. So he has a risk of rotation. But last season he scored 13 goals with 3 assists. He got 129 points. He's priced at 8.5 mil, but if you look at his points per game, he's at 6.06. Now that's quite high, to be fair. For a player who's squad rotated, he's not kind of like first choice every single week. I think that's not a bad price. But I think if he was around 8 mil or 7.5, I definitely would have considered him. But for a player, you know, you got someone like a Dominic Calvert-Lewin or someone like a Watkins 7.5 who are going to be playing week in, week out. Probably better likely to choose them based on the kind of like the lack of rotation, or, you know, pretty much being nailed on to play every week. So, you know, with him, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Willock, Smith Rowe, Saka, Tierney, Pepe, you know, I generally do see if Arteta can really galvanise the team and get a few new key signings, I reckon, you know, they can really start the season off well. So that's why I've reviewed these players from my side, and I believe these are going to be kind of like the players who you'd like to kind of consider if you do want to break into your squad. None of them are at the moment anywhere near kind of like majority of the people's squad selections, but this can all change just with a few signings. People can change it, and obviously the game's going to grow because we've only got 650,000 managers who've signed up so far. So obviously the more players that come in, those percentages will change. So that's my Arsenal review for the season so far. What did you think? Let me know what you thought of the kind of players that I've discussed. Have I discussed the players you're looking at? Have I helped you in any way? Let me know. Also, is there any player that you wanted to talk about that I haven't discussed? Let me know. I can bring that into any of my future content that I do release. So thank you very much for viewing. Hit the subscribe button, help me grow this channel. Hit the like button if you like this video, and also the notifications bell icon to let you know when I do release my content. If you haven't joined the league, no better time than now. The league code's right at the bottom left. Please submit it and join the FPL Inkling League. The more the merrier, and the more stronger the league will become. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name is Mo, and I'll see you guys once again with some